Okay guys, this is a huge deal for us as fans of the original game that was released about a decade ago. So here's hoping that the folks over at HBO can deliver a solid adaptation of a game that we loved in the first place. We had so many video game adaptations before, and of course they all failed miserably. So Craig Mazin, I'm expecting a good one. So without further ado, in the words of Mater the Tow Truck from the 2006 Cars video game,
so let's get this show on the road.
Yo, what is up, my Cinedroids? G to the S here. Today, I'm going to be reviewing HBO's adaptation of the award-winning crown jewel of Naughty Dog's video game magnum opus, simply titled in the same font and the same format as the original game itself, the one, the only, HBO's The Last of Us, ladies and gentlemen. Again, just like in the video game, 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed, Joel, played this time by both the Mandalorian and also as Maxwell Lord from Wonder Woman 1984, Pedro Pascal, a hardened survivor who's hired to smuggle Ellie, played perfectly by Bella Ramsay this time, a 14-year-old girl out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes a perilous, heartbreaking journey as they both must traverse the US and depend on each other for survival. Man, I gotta give immense props to both Craig Mazin and the creator of the original game himself, Neil Druckmann, who's supervising the whole thing, for making the show accurate to the game. This is what video game nerds like you and me needed to see. We wanted to see a solid video game adaptation, and of course HBO delivers on that flawlessly. It's been almost what, like 28 years since we had one? Sure, most of the episodes range from 45, 50, or maybe even an hour long, but it was condensed in a way that doesn't feel like one of those cash grab run-of-the-mill video game adaptations that followed nothing from the original game. Thank God this show is not one of them. I feel like the showrunners of this series are true fans of the game, because I can tell that those people put a crap ton of effort into making the show accurate to its original source material. The lines from the game, the music from the game, the show's characters and their development. Basically, in terms of the show's execution, everything about the show fired on all cylinders. They even kept the show's dramatic and emotional tone from the game as well. And I gotta tell you, during the beginning of its final episode, it's awesome that I get to see a brief cameo from the game as well, which again, no spoilers. Just watch that episode and you'll find out what I'm talking about. But that beginning scene during the 9th episode, I almost welled up in tears. That was brutal. Speaking of which, the direction coaching from a few people. Craig Mazin himself, like I mentioned earlier. The man with the hour, the man of the power himself, Neil Druckmann. Peter Hoare, Jeremy Webb, Jasmila Zbanek is how you pronounce it? Apologies, but you also got Liza Johnson and Ali Abbasi. They all did a phenomenal job at paying homage to the original game and directing your actors and actresses and getting them into character. Pedro Pascal is perfect as Joel, no doubt about that. No need to say anything else about him. Bella Ramsay crushed it as Ellie. I thought she did an incredible job portraying what Ashley Johnson portrayed in the game. She kept her smart aleck attitude, she kept her sense of humor, she kept the heart of her character. Bella Ramsay, I heard you were in Game of Thrones. I might want to check that show out soon, but you deserve a fist bump from me to you. Let's hope you do well once season 2 premieres soon. Fingers crossed. Also, I gotta touch on the production budget you spent to make the show. It looks fantastic. The environments in the show almost parallel the same environments used in the game. They kept the same bleak look to this world. They even kept the same look of the zombies that were used from the game into the show. Like the infected, the clickers, bloaters, you name it. The makeup design for those zombies was on point. Solid props to HBO for creating their use of practical effects. I also thought the CGI was great in the show as well. Mainly because they kept the CGI well hidden for us to figure out if it was actually CGI or if it was realistic effects. And this show delivered on that in flying colors. Keep that beat going. Even the camera work was amazing in the show. Of course, this show has impressive movie-like cinematography, so that's no surprise there. But nonetheless, it does feel like the game that this show is based off of. Like the way they would shoot a shot where the buildings lean onto each other, for example. That looks impressive to watch. Even when I watched it on my PS5, which makes sense. I mean, it's fitting because this show is basically based off of the PlayStation title. Duh. But nevertheless, the HDR quality of the show looks beautiful. Great job to the folks at HBO for replicating how the game would look in this world. Cannot wait to see what Season 2 is gonna look like. Again, knock on wood. Let's hope it's a good one. Now, when it comes to the show's action and horror-inducing sequences, they also nailed that down to a T. There's a scene where both Joel and Ellie are relying on stealth to get away from the infected zombies. Especially those dreaded clickers. Jeez Louise, these things are pure nightmare fuel. Even in the game, they were scary then. Plus, in the game, those things were hard for me to get past them. Even when I set the game to the easiest difficulty possible, I still had a hard time getting past those damn clickers. But in this show, they replicated that same feeling from the game down to a science. Also, that whole sequence reminded me of the scene from the Jurassic Park movie, where both Timmy and Lex are sneaking around the kitchen to get past those velociraptors. So I guess you could say that this show is basically a zombie-style apocalyptic version of Jurassic Park. Just a little bit. Not a whole lot. Now sure, the one negative I will say in the show was how they handled this one character during its 3rd episode. I know, the character felt nothing like the original game. I hear ya. But at the same time, I even heard from a few people that the reasoning behind his character was a bit understandable. Again, I won't spoil anything else about it. Just watch that episode for yourself and draw your own conclusions. But other than that, guys, in the end, to sum it all up, I thought Season 1 of HBO's The Last of Us was a solid adaptation of the original PS3 game that came out just about a decade ago, which I did play on my PS5 as a solid remaster. But that's beside the point. The environments were well spent, the visuals were well polished, the characters were well developed, and the dramatic and the emotional tone of the show was well executed. In short, this show broke the video game adaptation curse, ladies and gentlemen. And as a result, I rate The Last of Us Season 1 on HBO a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Now the real question, is this show better than the actual game? Of course, it's a resounding no. But that doesn't make this show bad or terrible by any means. I like to think of this show as a solid companion piece for people who don't play video games and are interested in seeing this series as a solid post-apocalyptic drama about finding acceptance during their perilous journey across an infected-filled wasteland. However you feel about it, go check the show out. It's streaming on HBO Max right now. You won't be disappointed. So Season 1 of HBO's The Last of Us. Have you seen every episode? If you haven't, you are doing yourselves a disservice at this point. Stream it on HBO Max and watch it. It's a great video game adaptation. You'll thank me later. But for those of you who have, come back and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Also, if you like this video and you want to see some more, make sure that like button shines in your face. That'll totally help me out a ton. Also, share it with your family and friends and favorite it. That's a very good way to show support for this review. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell right next to you so you can be notified of future videos that I have in store for you. Also, if you want a shout out in a future video, just follow me on both Instagram and Twitter and I will choose one of my Cinedroids to be displayed as a shout out. The link's in the description below. Also, follow me on TikTok so you can catch early updates of upcoming videos here on this channel. So if that interests you, the link to my account is below the description of this video. Also, I set up a YouTube channel membership program for you guys where you don't have to do this if you don't want to. But if there's a rare chance that you are interested in doing so, if you're watching my videos on your computer screen that is, there's a little join button that you can click on so that way you can have access to loyalty badges, custom-made emojis that I created for myself, and monthly perks that you can choose from. So that way it'll show appreciation to not only me, but also to you guys as well. But if you're watching my videos on any Apple device you have, be it iPad, iPod, iPhone, or whatever Apple device that you have on hand, there's a link in the description so that way you can do so for your Apple device as well. But however you watch my videos, go to the link below, become a member, and let's just get to know each other a bit more. Also, if you want to subscribe to my gaming channel, there's either a link in the description or at the icon card at the top right corner of your screen. Go over there, subscribe, and let's just have fun together. Also, if you want to show my current channel some love, I'll put that link in the description box below this video as well, so that way you can subscribe to my GS Productions channel as well. Show it some love, it helps out a lot. But until then, I'll see you next time. Peace out.